To fix knee pain, we use step-ups, quarter-range hamstring curls, single leg deadlifts, calf raises, and tib raises. These are all exercises that strengthen the pain-free range in the knee and the muscles that control the ankle and the hip above and below the knee. After I tore my meniscus, I reached out to my sports physio friends to learn the strategy and workout I'm about to share in this video. Knee Rehab 101. Whatever your knee pain is, the knee's a pretty simple joint. So what we need to do is strengthen the quadriceps and the hamstrings. They're the opposing muscles that control knee extension and knee flexion. And we really want to get into the VMO, the vastus medialis, the oblique portion of it, which is a really strong knee stabilizer. We also want to strengthen the calves, partly because the gastroc, the big calf, actually crosses the knee joint, so it is a part of knee function. But we want to strengthen the ankle and the hip as well. So we need to strengthen the calves and the opposing muscle group, the tibialis anterior, because we need the joints above and below the knee to be really strong as well. And then finally, we want to strengthen the glutes, especially the glute med, the hip stabilizers, which are going to help us have our knee tracking the way that we want it to have pain-free movement. The problem with all that is that knee pain is usually much worse when you go into loaded flexion, like in a deep squat like this. So what do? Well, let's have a look at a workout that you can safely do at home with minimal equipment that will absolutely make your knee pain much less. The key to this strategy is that we're going to strengthen the pain-free range. And that's usually the amount of knee flexion that you would go through when you climb up or down a flight of stairs. So we start with side step-ups. These are an excellent exercise for strengthening the quadriceps and really getting into that VMO portion of the vastus medialis. So what we want to do, you just want to set yourself up a step that is roughly about ankle height or absolutely no higher than what a regular step would be that you climb up and down in daily life. We want to turn the toes out to a 15-degree angle, and this is the tricky part. You really need to force the knee outwards so that it tracks over the toes. It's very important that your knee doesn't collapse inwards, and we want to avoid the pelvis from moving side to side or rotating or anything like that. If this is too hard for you at the start of your journey, just grab onto something that you can hold onto very gently just to help stabilize you. And you want to make sure that you do your weak leg first. So if you're injured, if your right knee is the injured knee, do that leg first and aim for 15 to 25 repetitions with a 1-0-1-0 tempo. So that means you go down for 1 second and up for 1 second with no pause between reps. Then we're going to pair this exercise with a quarter range standing hamstring curl with this triflexor. This is an excellent piece of equipment that you can grab if you click the link in the description of this video. And in all my decades of being a coach, I've never found anything that does the job that this piece of equipment does. It's very, very good because it allows you to connect weight directly to your foot. And it is very hard to train the hamstring without your seated hamstring curls or prone hamstring curl machines that you find at the gym, which cost thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. But with this piece of equipment, you can get it done at home. And again, we only want to train that quarter range because we're working that same range of motion that we're working in the step up. And it might seem silly to you that you'd work such a lower range, but you basically want to strengthen that pain-free range. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a 3-0-1-1 tempo for this. So that means we're going to contract and lift up for a second, hold it for 1 second, so you keep those hamstrings contracted, and then down for 3 seconds before you go to the next rep. Now, take note that all of the nerve endings in the knee, there's less nerve endings in there, so by the time that you feel pain in your knee, often you've gone a little bit too far, especially with something like the meniscus. Now we're going to move on to the ankles, and a strong ankle is absolutely relevant to reducing knee pain because we need to make sure that the ankle and the hip are doing their job properly so that the knee isn't taking too much load. I can't overemphasize that enough. So the way we're going to do this is with a really simple calf raise and tibialis anterior raise. So for the calf raise, you can go on flat ground. You can just do a flat foot calf raise if you want, or if you can handle it, do a deficit calf raise like what I'm doing here. And if you do a deficit calf raise, we just want to go as deep as we possibly can, so you're really developing a lot of range of motion in the ankles. It's really going to help with ankle mobility as well. And then when you press up, press as high as you can and just control that eccentric. For the tibialis anterior raise, we use the triflexor again. And again, without a piece of equipment like this exercise is very, very hard to do. And it's the antagonistic muscle to the calves. So the muscle itself isn't responsible for helping with knee pain, but just to maintain structural balance in the body, it's very important that we train antagonistic muscles within the same joint. So you're just going to sit down on a flat surface where your knee's straight so that you isolate the movement to the ankle, and you're going to come up as high as you can into dorsiflexion and then control the eccentric for 3 seconds, trying to avoid that rotation, the inward or outward rotation. And for these exercises, I like to do between 8 to 12 reps per set, and we do 3 sets. To finish the workout off, we're going to do 3 sets of a single leg deadlift, and you can do this either with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. It doesn't really matter. You might do it without any weight. It might be too challenging for you to do weight at all, and that's totally fine. If you find that you can't balance, if you lose balance on every rep, then just grab onto a dowel rod and do a supported single leg deadlift. That's absolutely fine. But the idea here is that we're training the glutes, but we're really working on the hip stabilizers. So the part of the glute complex that is responsible for hip stabilization, and that's why we do a unilateral movement. So just make sure when you do this one that you don't let the knee collapse inward. Again, we want the knee tracking over the toe. We want to keep the spine straight, and we want to do most of the movement from the hips. So we want to hinge from the hip and just do a small bend on the knee, and then stand back up and thrust the hips forward, get into a posterior pelvic tilt, so you really get as much range of motion in that hip joint and a lot of glute activation there. 3 second eccentric, 1 second on the way up, so it's a 3-0-1-0 tempo. And for this one, again, we can go for higher repetitions again, because we're trying to train the stabilization part of the hips. We want to look for higher reps rather than lower reps with a heavier weight. So looking for that 15 to 20 rep range and doing 3 sets. Make sure, of course, that you do the injured side first. And as your pain-free range increases, eventually you're going to need to move to more challenging exercises. So of course, that's how periodization works. And if you want to see some of those examples, just click or tap the screen there, check out those videos, and let me know how your knee pain is going. Let me know how you went after doing this workout. Just leave a comment, and I'll see you in that next video.